Yeah.
Helps you, then
yeah, that's
whatever you need.
Part of the thing is like we're filming some of the maybe I'll put it this way. We're filming some of the interviews because we're gonna make like a short documentary of like people talking about the mission. But also I'm like asking everyone if they want to be a part of that because that's kind of like it's related to my thesis, but it's not really a part of it. But yeah, but that was kind of how the idea originally, we thought we should just make a documentary. And then I was kind of like, oh, this is actually a really cool idea. Like maybe I should use this for my thesis as well. So I kind of like built it off of that. But yeah. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So maybe just start by talking about like when you first moved to San Francisco and where you lived.
I moved in October of 1986. I came on the Greyhound bus from Denver, and I didn't know really anything about San Francisco. I had no interest in moving to San Francisco. I always thought I would go to New York, but I had a girlfriend, and she was coming with or without me, so I decided my time in Denver was up, and we came out, and we moved to the Tenderloin, because, hey, sorry, no problem. She knew a guy, kinda, who lived there and said we could stay for a week or so until we figured out what we were doing. So we did that, and then we moved, ended up staying in the Tenderloin. And then we decided we didn't want to live in San Francisco. She was German, so we decided to move to Berlin. And we were about to leave. We had quit our jobs. We had gotten rid of our apartment, sold stuff, gave up cats. And then we found out that if she left, her green card would no longer be valid. So we decided it was so hard to get the green card that we didn't go. So we got a van and we drove around the country looking for a better place to live, and we couldn't find one. So back to San Francisco.
Nice.
And I've been here ever since. After that, we lived in the Mission just briefly. Then we split up, and I went back to the Tenderloin for a little bit, and then to the Mission, where I, with some friends, we started a warehouse on 18th and Mission, the Starlight Furniture Company, which I think people might still live there, but it completely looks different. It had this giant tall sign that said Starlight and a big star on it. It was really cool. And the whole front of the place was one giant picture window from floor to ceiling. So you could look out and see everything going by on Mission Street.
Cool.
So I lived there for a while, and then left there, and briefly was just down the street for your parents for about 6 months, and then back to the Mission, where I was across the other side of the gas station from Radio Valencia. So
Okay.
Look out our windows and would see Radio Valencia.
Nice.
My roommate saw the fire truck go through, and
Oh, really?
he collapsed because he thought he'd just seen all these people die. Like, he heard the sirens, he was looking out the window, and then he was like, and he just fell. Yeah.
And then how long did you live there?
I lived there for 11 years until I got evicted.
Okay.
Some jerks, his family of liars bought the building and evicted us at Christmas after meeting us and telling us that they had no intention. They just bought it as an investment, and then 2 days later, eviction. And I fought them and won with a downstairs neighborhood, but in the end we lost. We still had to move. Then I moved to Alex's. So I sublet from Alex.
Okay.
Johnny and I were the first people to sublet that apartment, which until just recently was still being sublet by him. Until I think last year or the year before.
that also in the mission?
Yeah, that's on 17th, right by 17th and Albion.
Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, right over there.
Yeah, I was there for, I don't remember, 2-3 years maybe, and then back to the Tenderloin,
Nice.
and then met Donna and moved in. When then I was out in the inner Richmond, which I'd never been so far out before. I was like,
Yeah.
what's this place so quiet? I was all nervous out there.
Yeah.
Thought it was dangerous because there was no people around.
Yeah.
I was all scared to go out at night. She's like, what, this neighborhood, there's nothing happens to this neighborhood. I was like, I don't know, but there's no one around.
Yeah.
It's so quiet, and there could be people hiding. Who knows?
Yeah, true. Who's gonna see if something happens?
Yeah.
Comes around. That's funny.
And then we were there until 3 years, just almost 3 years since we moved to Oakland.
Okay, cool. Nice. So, how old were you when you first, like, when you settled in San Francisco?
21.
21, okay.
Well, I just turned 22 pretty much. I was here a month and I turned 22.
Okay. What did you end up liking about it that made you, like, want to come back?
The beauty of it, really, and people.
Cool.
I didn't really have, I mean, I had friends that I met through, like, my job and stuff, but I didn't really have, like, feel like I was part of any real scene so much. I was in a way, but I didn't really, it didn't hold me here. Like, the group of friends I had, I wasn't like, oh, I can't, you know, it's like, hence deciding, let's go try Berlin, you know.
Right, yeah.
Which for me, I was like, oh my God, it's so exciting. It was, the wall was still up, you know,
Yeah.
middle of the Cold War.
Right.
So, and we would go visit. She had all these friends there, and it was just a little wild place, like really intense, you know, because everybody was like, at any moment, we could just be swallowed up and, you know,
Yeah.
surrounded on all sides.
Right. Yeah, crazy.
So,
Damn.
but yeah, then we got back here, or we ended up, you know, being here, and we just spent a whole summer driving all over, like 10,000 miles around the country, and we just were like, no place was better.
Yeah.
So,
Just like the vibe of
yeah.
San Francisco and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, the people so much, because, you know, there's a thing I like to say because I heard someone say it about San Francisco, and I'm like, it's true. Right back at them is once you cross those bridges, it's nothing but freaks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's how the rest of the country is. After you've been here, you're like, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
So true. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
what is their problem?
Yeah. Totally.
You know, so the biases and all this just, you know, shit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you feel like that's still relevant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, less so because of the changing demographic of the city, but the Bay Area in general, for sure. I mean, you know, living in Oakland is, you know, it's so different.
Yeah.
You know, and being a later middle-aged straight white guy is not lost on me where I live, because it's like, you know, that ain't us, babe.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Totally. Yeah. Cool.
You know, not that I have any problems or anyone has problems with me, but it is like, you
Totally.
know, oh, okay, this is how other people, you know, have lived. I've had this privilege.
Right.
You know, and I still have it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm like, oh, yeah, not running shit.
Yeah. Totally.
Not that I personally was ever running shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean, though. Oakland definitely, like, yeah, that's, like, a really cool thing about it. I feel like it has, like, a really strong identity.
Yeah.
That's, like, really a part of it, you know, and you feel it there. I feel like San Francisco is kind of like, I think maybe it used to have more of that kind of, like, creative integrity or something, like, substance, and I feel like that still is definitely here, but it's like a little bit not as obvious now,
Yeah.
I think, you know?
I mean, I really grew to where, you know, like when I lived over on 23rd Street, I mean, I loved the Mission.
Yeah.
You know, I was all in, and I was like, you know, I was like the mayor of Valencia Street. I was out everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, going to shows all the time and hanging out with people. And you walked down the street and you knew everyone. Like, you couldn't get a block without running into someone you knew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so small and neighborhoody. And, you know, now I can spend hours walking around the Mission and never see someone I know.
Yeah.
You know? Or, you know, and all these things are changed, are different, all these different businesses and stuff, and, you know, it's fine, it's kind of cool, but because it's the Mission, I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like someone took another cool neighborhood. Like if I was on vacation and I went to the Mission, I would be like in a different city. I'm like, oh, it's a cool neighborhood. But then when you put it on the old Mission, it's like, oh, this is just.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like hip tourism in a lot of ways. You know,
Mm-hmm.
boutique shops.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember having this feeling when I was in high school, like, because I'd already lived in Vernal for, like, you know, a lot of my childhood, but we used to hang out in the Mission a lot on the weekends, like, me and my friends, and I remember, like, just this feeling of, like, so often walking around and being like, there are certain blocks now of Valencia where I feel like I could be in any city.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like the coffee place, and it was, like, I just remember being so, like, taken aback by that, like, change. It happened so fast, and I could still really remember my childhood so vividly, of like, because I spent so much time on Valencia Street as a kid, you know, and just being like, oh my god, it's so weird. It just looks like I could be in New York or Austin or like anywhere, any like cute little bougie hipster
Yeah.
place, you know.
I'm more likely, if I have to go somewhere in the Mission, to walk up Mission Street.
Yeah,
because
Mission Street is
it's
better.
more interesting, you know,
I
and
agree.
it's still not that changed. I mean,
Yeah.
you come across like, oh well, look at this kind of fancy restaurant, but you know, or
Yeah.
this kind of hipster thing, but it's still pretty much the same street.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, Valencia is not. I mean, when I moved here, you could come down here. You could go. We would go to the firehouse to go dancing, which is where the Kilowatt is,
okay.
because it's an old firehouse. And
Right.
you'd go, and there was like, you know, that was dancing going on there. The Picaro's still there, you know,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
then you could go up to the Chatterbox, which then became the Chameleon. But
Okay.
you didn't go really further than that. It got real sketchy.
And where was that?
That's at 18th in Valencia.
Oh, okay.
It became Amnesia,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
before, and then it was, the Chameleon was where all the bands played, like in touring bands, anything that wasn't big enough to go somewhere else
Mhm.
played in that club.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, the whole scene was there, like, you know, every night you could go down to the Chameleon.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
And those, are there like any other places that stick out in your mind from that time?
There was Club Commotion. You'd go sometimes would have cool punk shows or, you know, weird shows. The Lab's been there forever. I
Oh,
never
yeah.
really went to that too much. There was a great place on Sycamore, which is called Sycamore. These guys had like a little warehouse space, and they would have shows in their basement.
Cool.
You know, Icky Boyfriends would play there.
Okay.
The guys who lived there were the Grateful Dead Kennedys.
Okay.
That was their band. This guy, Dog Penis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
There was that. There seemed to like, I was thinking about it, and it just seemed like more hanging out at like someone's house than, you know, you're younger and not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
going out was taquerias, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Were you in bands?
I was in Duh, which was a Boner, which is Steel Pool Bathtub in the Melvins, and Tom, who runs Boner, was in
Okay.
Duh, and then Gary, who owns Revolver, where I work, he was in Duh.
Cool.
So
Nice.
And then I did a couple dumb little one-off projects when Dub broke up.
Nice. Cool. Do you feel like most of the people that you knew were also like doing music or art and stuff?
Yeah, everybody was doing something like that because, you know, no other real reason to be there.
Yeah.
You know, because it was starting to get more and more expensive. I mean, even when it was cheap, you know, coming from Denver, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's so expensive. Rent is so expensive here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like $400 for a studio. You know, and when I moved over on 23rd, it was my friend Blake, who was in Jawbreaker. We got the place, found this place together, and it was a top floor flat, 3 bedrooms with a little deck and a laundry room and big living room, and it was $1,200, and we were like, this is so expensive, but we were like, God, it's just such a great place. So, you know, maybe we'll get a roommate, we'll see. But, you know, by the time I moved out, it was so cheap, you know, because the rent never changed for 11 years. It was $1,200 a month the whole time.
Damn.
And it went from being like so expensive to like people going, you pay what?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, because then by the time I moved, I think $1,200 was what a studio cost.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Crazy. Damn. So you feel like were people, everybody that was living in the Mission, you feel like was coming here to be a part of like the scene and like to be an artist? Mostly,
yeah, it seemed like it.
Okay.
You know, and also people from who maybe had previously lived like lower, like when I first moved here, it seemed those people all kind of were lower Haight area and started moving towards the Mission because it was getting cheaper, you know.
Yeah. Cool. Nice.
But yeah, it seemed like there wasn't a ton of people, and then it was always more and more moving in.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and it was still very, very gangy back then, you know, and weird, kind of like a block by block thing. Like this gang would have this block, and then another gang would have this block, but that same other gang would then be the block up, you know.
Okay.
It was really, to me, it just seemed really kind of sporadic, and like how do you know what territory you're in? And, you know, not being in a gang or looking like I was in a gang, it was never really a problem because just ignored most of the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Yeah. Do you think it was more dangerous back then?
Yeah, I think so.
Than now, yeah.
Yeah, for sure more dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, there weren't like tons of junkies and shit around.
Oh,
know?
really?
Not like now.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, but not like now, you know. I think you were just more likely you could get robbed or just beaten up, you know, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
I had two completely different experiences. So when I was 18, senior in high school, I got jumped and beaten really bad by a gang of Latino guys. I mean, they just fucking wasted me. So after that, I had like this. So my first New Year's Eve in San Francisco, we went to the Mission to go dance at the firehouse, and we were walking from BART, and these group of Latino dudes just surrounded us, like just, and I was like, oh fuck, and I froze, and this guy just comes up to me, he's like, Happy New Year, motherfucker, and threw his arms around me, and they were like, Happy New Year, and I was like, you know, and then, you know, okay, things are different here, cool,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like Denver where, you know, you might get stomped. And then after I was living in the Mission, I worked over Bayshore, and I was walking home through the Mission, and I was down probably like 23rd and maybe, I don't know, Harrison or over there. call it a San Francisco day. You know those days where it's just so beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and you're out walking, and you're just like, fuck, I love this place. It's just, people are out, and everybody's in a good mood. It's warm.
Yeah.
You know, there's people doing their thing, and you just are like, the light is perfect.
Yeah.
And I was having one of those days, and I was walking, and there was these Latino girls. They had a boombox, and they were dancing in front of their house, and they're just like dancing. And I was going by, and this girl's like, "Hey, white boy, hey, white boy, hey, white boy, hey, white boy." And I looked up and smiled, and she's like, "What the fuck are you smiling at, motherfucker?" And then they just start screaming at me, "We'll fucking kick your motherfucking, get back the white boy down, you motherfucking white boy." And they started coming down the steps, and all these other people started coming down the steps, and I was like, shit. And I was like, I have this stupid thing. That's why I got beat up in Denver. It's like, I have this stupid thing where I didn't do anything wrong, so I don't go run. But I did start walking faster, and they were behind me just screaming at me. They're going to kick your fucking ass. You looked at me. I can't believe you fucking looked at me. And I was like, you're singing to me, I thought, you know.
Yeah.
And then these dudes started going like, what the fuck's going on? And they're like, this motherfucking dude, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fuck, all right, I'm going to get it again. You know, this is going to happen. And I was walking, and I got to South Van Ness, and the light went yellow, and I ran across the street, and cars started going, and they couldn't cross. And they were like, that's right, bitch. And I was like, okay.
Whoa. That's crazy.
But, you know,
Intense.
it's just, you know, that was the neighborhood in those days.
Yeah.
I had to, you know, when I first moved over by Radio Valencia, there was a gang that hung out on the corner, and, you know, they just would glare at me, but nothing ever happened, and then they just got used to seeing me around.
Yeah. Yeah.
One day, the leader guy, I forget his name, he was the boss of the gang or whatever, and he was a real piece of work, but I was coming, it was like a weekend, I had to walk in home, I had a cup of coffee, and he was like, give me a sip of your coffee. And I was like, what? And he's like, give me a sip of your coffee. And I just handed it to him, and he takes a sip, and he hands it back, he goes, I got AIDS. And I was like,
Okay. Do you want to keep it?
I just went inside my house and threw the coffee away. I was like, what the fuck is that about? He's like, I got AIDS. Like, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he's just like what is
fucking with you, or
what is your problem?
Yeah. Damn. That's crazy. Yeah, I feel like there's less, like, I definitely feel like now you still have to be aware, of course, always. Like, I mean, anywhere in the city, but, like, especially around here, like, the BART station and stuff, like, I feel like you always hear about weird shit going on.
Yeah.
But even, like, since I moved to this apartment 8 years ago, it's, like, I feel like the violence is so much less. And, like, yeah, it just feels more, like, sad now. Like, I don't feel, like, scared, really. I mean, I never really felt scared, but I definitely... There were, like, some streets that I was like, I would not walk down that street alone at night, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like, you kind of just, like, know. But, yeah, now it just feels more, like, sad and, like, just people, like, fucking out of their minds, you know? And just, like, really struggling for health and just anything, you know? It feels less like I'm in danger and more like they're in danger of, like... death and disease.
And that's so many different places. Like, you know, when I moved back to the Tenderloin the second time, I lived on the corner of Hyde and Eddy. And I wouldn't even walk down there in the daytime now.
Yeah.
That fucking corner. I've driven by there, I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's like, and I lived there.
That's crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it was like, okay, this is rough. But I never was like, oh, I'm afraid to leave my place.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But yeah, it is sad. And, you know, it's weird when I work in the Mission, but I get off BART and I go down 16th and then back.
Yeah.
And only so often do I actually come over here, say. And if I'm walking around like, oh, I'll kind of kill time before band practice, or, you know, it's crack night, I want to be here early and go get something to eat. I don't really have like an affinity for the neighborhood. It's just like all this, it's just, that's gone for me, really.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't feel connected at all to the
Wow.
mission.
Do you think that's because just so many places have changed, or do you think it's the people, or?
Yeah, I mean the people for sure. I mean, you know, it's like I don't know, these people and these places are like you said, they could be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of the same stuff that I like is still here. Like most of the taquerias are still around. You know. There's Porto Alegre that's been there for what, like 50 years, I think, maybe longer. I don't know.
I love that place.
You know.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll go over there, and then I'm like, yeah, it's so great, you know.
Yeah.
Even like Weeby Sushi, I think they maybe have closed finally. I mean,
No, they're still there. Yeah.
Because they used to be up the street
the
further.
the one on closer to 24th that side. Yeah. That one closed.
And that was like a big deal, like, because that was the only place you could go get sushi in the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
You know, like,
Yeah, and that was the first one, I think, that opened, right? And then they opened the second one over here. Yeah. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. Do you,
I miss Lucadeli.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally. I know. And also the places that are still here, I feel like, are really different too. Like there's like, even though they've lasted, it's like there's not a lot of places that have lasted and still feel the same, which like makes sense because it's like a lot of time has passed. But like even like Boogaloo's, like I still love going to Boogaloo's, but it like feels totally different than when I was a kid. You know.
We were up there the other day and I was like, I didn't know Boogaloo's was still running.
Yeah.
I just don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, totally.
After people I knew who worked there and gave free breakfast stopped working there.
Yeah.
It's like, no need to go there anymore. I can't believe how many people, I mean, if I was getting free breakfast, everybody must have been getting free breakfast.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
the people working there were like, I know you have better friends than me. We don't really hang out, but yet you never charge me.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's awesome. Do you have any favorite memories or times that stick out from that era of living in the Mission?
Yeah, I mean the whole scene at the Chameleon was really cool. You just knew everybody there, and all these bands would come and play from all over, and then your bands would play, and Duh would do some pretty funny stuff. Like we played a show where we tied each other. We were all tied at the ankles, and then tied to the drum set.
Oh my God.
And I move around. I really would move around then. Like I was a lot younger, and I would move a lot more. And so I'd be falling over, and I'd be pulling on someone, and they'd be trying to keep their balance while playing. We did a show opening. Jawbreaker asked us to open for them, and we were like, "Oh, this is it's a big deal." So we wrote all new songs. They were all pop songs, and they were all about girls that we knew in the scene. And played in cardigans, and the guys held their guitars up behind me, had combed hair, and lots of backing vocals and la la la's, and everyone was like, "The fuck." And it was really good, but not what anyone expected. I did a thing with some friends we called The Goddamn Best. We made a fake band, and then we made a fake documentary, this fake story, and we got a show, and we were going to, play the movie, and then we would play, and we kept it really into raps, and we got the Bay Guardian. We told them what was happening, that it was a joke, thing. But they went along with it, oh yeah, we'll print this. They gave us a page, this whole story about this band that was a cult band and obscure or whatever, and so the people, we're really excited. Oh, this band, and we had Frank Kozik in the documentary talking about he's our roadie, and Jello's in it, and We just, got this whole thing and made this huge hype
Oh.
about it, but nobody knew who was the band. It was like, they're from out of town or whatever. There was like line down the street to get in. It's totally sold out. Like, I was just in the crowd hanging out before we played, and heard people going like, I saw them back in whatever, It's like, well, you couldn't have, And then we had somebody was like, I know these guys, they could open. It was all-star people from like all these great players from other bands, and it was all covers.
Yeah.
We had 2 vocalists.
Nice.
But, I know, great opening band, these guys from Olympia, they're going to be around, so, like, we should have them. I was like, sure, and it was a keyboardist and a cellist.
Oh my God.
So they played before the movie, and people were just like, the fuck? And then we showed the movie, and then we came out and we played, and we did not engage, we did not speak to the crowd, we just came out, played Fast and Furious for like 15 minutes maybe, and we were done. And it was like, wow, this stuff, like our friends knew, but all these people like had never, gone there. They just were like, what the hell? Then the SF Weekly, they didn't know about it. So they had been scooped, and then they did a review of the show.
Oh my God,
because
amazing.
In the Bay Guardian, I sent them a photo that I had from Denver of a Black Flag show to use for a band photo, because you couldn't see there were so many kids on stage dancing and slamming and jumping off the stage that you couldn't see who was in the band.
Nice.
But it's just a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I sent them, they ran that photo. Like, they were totally like, oh yeah, we'll totally go along with your joke. So
yeah.
It was
Oh my
just
God,
like
that's awesome.
P.T. Barnum rock and roll style.
Yeah. Where did you show it? Where did you have the show?
We had it at the Chameleon.
Oh, nice. Oh,
Everything was, everything was there always.
Cool. Wow, that's such a good idea. That's so funny. Nice. Was there like a lot of stuff like that happening? Like that, like spirit?
Yeah,
kinda?
I mean, do what you want. You start a band, or some bands were good. I mean, San Francisco is famous for shitty bands.
Yeah.
There aren't very many good bands.
Yeah.
There are a lot of weird bands. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of really weird bands. Like the Icky Boyfriends have become a cult band, and they're really popular now, but people hated them then.
Really?
Oh my God, they were just hated. Like they're, because they just came out like they were weird and
Totally.
And John, you'd see John all over, the Mission, and he was like twirling his weird hair.
Nice.
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot of weirdos, a lot of characters. Grux from Carolina, I don't know if you know of him. Carolina, I think, just played, but he's the mastermind of this thing. Carolina Rainbow Hernia Milk Queen. They always had different names, but they would have these shows with these just crazy Dayglow stage sets, and it was all based on like Old West peyote dreams, desert, and it was very psychedelic, and the music was all like homemade instruments and noise, and just
Cool.
I'm sure they have they've got to have probably videos all over YouTube. They're just, they play in a warehouse, and they're just
Cool.
crazy, and people on drugs, and
Yeah. Nice.
there was like Mud Women were all, very tribal kind of punk band. And
Cool.
Tragic Mulatto would have these shows where the singer Gail especially, she had this incredible voice, but they would just do these weird things. Like she had a show where she was naked and she painted her body white with like veins all over, and then she was inside this big mesh bag full of balloons singing, with the band. And this guy Alistair had these long blonde dreads, and they did a show, and he had a knit hat on, he starts swinging his head around, and the hat falls off and all his hair goes flying off, because he had cut his dreads off, shaved his head, then tucked them under his hat. So it's like, if you ever want to decide you want to cut all your hair off, do something like cut it, put it under a hat, and then freak out all your friends.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I just thought of that
Cool.
kind of thing, like, you know, Castro Halloween was always such an amazing thing before they stopped doing it, really. But it was like, you go there, there'd be thousands upon thousands of people, and everyone's in a costume. Instead of gawking.
Yeah.
It was just, you didn't like go if you weren't in a costume. It was
Right.
like, and just crazy stuff going on everywhere you look, just craziness.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like I probably missed like the brunt of like the really like eclectic and like cool, more arty shit that was like San Francisco was so known for. But I definitely feel like I remember just like more characters, you know, than it is like now it's just so bland and like it's just so everybody looks the same. And that's another thing that I remember noticing like in high school. Like what the fuck is happening? Like why is it's just so doesn't have that kind of like uniqueness.
People
you know?
used to be here to like be creative
Yeah.
and not have to
Express
live under a
themselves.
yoke or whatever.
Right.
Like you could basically, it was cheap enough where you could have a crap job
Mhm.
and make rent.
Yeah.
And do whatever you were doing. You know, you didn't
Outside
have
of
to.
that, yeah.
But it changed where people now are here to make money.
Right.
You know, and do tech and change the world and whatever
Totally.
these false things they've been saying forever. Like
Right.
it was always about making money.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I know, and it sucks because it's in a way it's like, I mean, it's a bummer that that spirit and those kinds of like cool people had to be lost for that to happen. It's also like I don't feel like no one can be faulted for like wanting to make money and like have that life. Like I get it. It's also like something our society promotes so much. It's like I totally understand, but I think it's lame to have that completely wipe out something that was so much a part of why people came here. You know,
Yeah.
and like it's just the whole reason for coming here is completely different now. So it's just like I don't know. That is a like a big loss. I think it's
Yeah.
sad.
I'm always like, I should probably learn to code.
Yeah.
Back then, like
Yeah.
I know I used to hang out with people who. One guy, I don't know what he did at Apple, but I mean Apple wasn't a big deal still. And,
Yeah.
You know, it was before iPods and
Mhm.
phones and all that.
Right.
And another guy was there, and you know, the other guy, he owns a plane now.
Damn. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the other people I just hung out with, like
That's crazy.
downstairs. You know, not
Yeah.
the guy with the plane. That he was like, I met him at Casanova, and you know.
Damn. Yep. Nuts. Yeah, it's crazy.
And you know, then you know, after the Chameleon, you know, then like the clubhouse was the Latin until Dawn opened up, and then we all came here. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Dawn. You know, people we knew worked here.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, that's cool. I know. I feel like Casanova has like been through a lot of different phases as a bar.
Yeah.
Right now, it's in like kind of this weird
Your turn.
room place. Yeah, I know. But it's just like now it's known as like a skater bar,
Oh,
which
is
I'm
it?
like, no, fuck that. I don't want that. That's gotta change.
Yeah, I mean, that can change. I don't know how you
Just
change
it's,
it.
It's known as that because it's skaters hang out there because it's the cheapest bar.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
And the poor's the stiffest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is
And-
why, you know, that's why we all.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
One of the reasons.
Totally.
Like, you
I know. Yeah, it's like,
Best-
and now skaters are like the new alt scene
Yeah.
in the Mission, you know? But it's like, they're really fucking annoying. And I don't like that they're all dudes either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare when I'm there, especially at night. Like, sometimes I've sat and had a drink before I come to play poker because
Yeah.
Peasy's working or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, it's different. You know, there's
Yeah.
still some familiar faces, but
Yeah.
not like, obviously not like it was, because
Right.
I mean, that was like almost every day after work.
Yeah.
And before cell phones, it's like,
Right.
you know, in like text or whatever. It's like you just
go
there.
out and find people.
It's like,
I know.
You knew where to go. That's where you go.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to see people, don't go there.
Totally.
Because your friends are going to be there.
Right. That's such an interesting angle to this whole thing too. Is like how like that dynamic of everyone being so reachable all the time really changes things in terms of like community. Like I interviewed Gail yesterday, and she was talking about the same thing about how like she was like, yeah, like there were just the spots that everyone would go because like she knew that your friends would be at that bar, and like there's no other way to find them. You just have to go and see where they are, and then if they're not at that bar, they're gonna be at this bar, or that restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like there's not. I mean, definitely it's still like. Of course, like I'm walking around, I always see people that I know around because it's like I've lived here for a long time and I just know a lot of people. But like, I don't go somewhere to see people. I always like have a plan with somebody because you're always talking to everyone, and it's always like, oh, what are you doing today? Or where are you at? Or like, you know what I mean? There's less of that kind of like easiness and just kind of that flow of like we're just gonna go and see who's there, and like that kind of like is different, that spontaneous kind of community, and then stuff happens that you weren't planning on because you're just kind of like more open, and now I feel like everyone's so like locked into their lives more in this individualistic way. I don't know.
I mean,
more isolated, I guess.
Yeah, we made it, and I mean, it wasn't until I don't know how old I was when cell phones came around, but I made it my whole life without them.
Yeah.
And it's like you made plans on the phone.
Yeah.
And you kept your plans.
Right.
Because otherwise, there's no way to get a hold of the person
yeah.
to say, I'm not going to be there.
I think
so you just better be
too.
there.
Right.
Totally. And people would sometimes, like, just knock on your door. Hey, what you doing?
Right.
Oh, come on in, or I'm busy.
Right.
But, okay, cool, get you later.
Yeah.
It's on down the street.
Totally.
Yeah. Like, it's weird. I'm like, I watch Donna scroll on her phone, and she just, and I'm like, oh man, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so boring to me. I'll do a little bit, and I'm like, oh.
I know. Yeah.
Oh.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it's like TV or anything else, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of weird mind-numbing sort of thing.
I mean, I think more so, and it's also fueling this rage and almost all the division of this country is because of social media.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because people playing the sides against each other.
Mm-hmm.
The whole divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And
it works so well.
The whole thing
media.
with the Russians and the Chinese putting all this stuff into their, fake accounts and getting people, because they want nothing more in this country to tear itself apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's working.
Yeah.
It's working great.
Well, and that goes back to like the individualistic nature of technology and how it really isolates you in your own thing. It's your own algorithm. It's your personal little thing that you can get sucked into at any time.
Yeah.
And I think that's so dangerous, and that's like contributing to the loss of like the general vibe. You know?
I watched like Sick or something, and I was like, well, I'll check out that show Euphoria.
Oh yeah.
And I'm watching it, and it's like Sydney Sweeney's gonna have sex with this guy, and he immediately starts to choke her out, and I was like, what the fuck? And she's like, what the fuck? And I was like, I thought that's what you're supposed to. And I was like, whoa, this is fucked up.
Yeah, that's how it is. I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
Going through here are the steps of the porn steps.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Need to check these boxes before this can happen.
Yeah.
And then when this happens, I need to choke you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
It's so fucking weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And then I was like, okay, I can't watch this show.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with these young people.
Yeah. It's fucked up. Young people, I know. Yeah, I know.
And then, I read stuff like, well, like Gen Z, they're not having sex, they're all just looking at porn. And I'm like, yeah, well, because it's fucking probably scared shitless to have sex after watching that. It's too, it's, even when it's not intense, it's still intense.
Yeah, totally. And like, idealistic in this, like, the way everyone looks, and like, I always think about that so much in social media, and like, body image and all that, and like just how damaging them. I feel so grateful forever that, well, for one, I'm grateful that I never really gave a shit about Facebook or any of that when it was coming out when I was that age. Like, a lot of my friends were all into that, and I was like, I don't really understand this type, which I'm so happy, because I feel like if I was a teenager now, I can't even imagine the amount of, like, pressure I would feel, and like, it just, everything is so in your face and so available, and everyone is so filming everything they're doing and posting about it all the time, and everything is so public.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't imagine being, I mean, obviously, like, I'm around teenagers, Connor works with a lot of teenagers, and it's like, most of them seem fine. So I think, hopefully, most of them it's okay, but, like, I feel just like for me it would have been so fucking hard. And I'm sure for a lot of kids it's like, it's such a new challenge.
Yeah.
Like, it's already hard enough, you know, and then adding all that in.
I know one of those kids in one of those families where everything's fine. There's no signs, and the kid kills himself, and they're like, and the parents are like, like, I saw you 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
And you had plans that night.
Yeah.
You were looking forward to it. You had plans.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what's happened? And they never got an answer. They don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just do that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
There's some serious pressure going.
Yeah. Or something that makes you feel like you should or have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. It's so crazy. Yeah. It's weird. And I feel like San Francisco, like, is very much kind of a reflection of that whole thing, you know?
Yeah, because
like,
it all happens here first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and just like the loss of individuality and, you know, I don't know. And it's one of those things where it's like, I still know, I'm like lucky that I'm in the music scene, so it's like I know a lot of bands and I know a lot of people that are doing really cool art, and like I still see it happening all the time, but I know that most people I interact with have no idea that that shit's going on. It's like you have to be in it and you have to know where to look for it. It's not like, oh, this is like the arty cool place, you know? It's like you gotta really be tapped in.
And with the internet too, like, you don't have to go to San Francisco or LA or New York, because the internet makes every scene the same.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, like, used to be, you could tell, oh, that's a band, that's a San Francisco band, or oh, that's a Seattle band, you know, oh, New York band, you know, or Midwestern band, like they weren't the same.
Different
and now it's just
it's
just one scene.
It's true.
Bands are the same, they look the same.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. I do feel like New York still has a lot of individuality. Bo was living there, like, he would, like, send me songs by, like, people that were, like, playing just at the gallery or whatever, and it would be like, whoa, this is really cool and, like, totally different from anything that I'm hearing in San Francisco. But I definitely feel like the West Coast is all the same, you know, like LA, Portland, like, there's really not that much difference, you know.
I really like, and I've only been to a couple, including yours, the Stay Gold shows. This whole scene there, because there's bands every single night. Yeah. You know, and they start early, and it's free or cheap, and it's all ages, and it's like, you know, I have friends who their kids go there, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, what about like Gilman? They're like, Gilman's not cool.
Yeah.
They're like Gilman.
It's not cool.
Too many rules.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. You know that you can drink if you're underage and stay gold.
Yeah.
If you just go in the back or whatever.
Right.
You know.
Totally. No one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Oakland is awesome. Oakland is really, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. There's shows, you know, and I'm like, I don't know where that is, because then they don't want me to know. Like, you see it, but it's got a name, like, you know, the First Church of the Buzzard is around the corner from my house. I can walk to Stagel. There's another place up the street from us that I think is called Pussy Palace.
Oh,
and they have like metal shows there. It's just a house.
Nice.
You know? Like when I was just looking one day, like the map on Instagram, and this little dot said Pussy Palace. I'm like, what the fuck is Pussy Palace? I'm like, is there a brothel in my neighborhood?
Yeah, metal shows. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Several metal shows.
Nice. Yeah, there's a place like that my band's played a lot called Oakland Secret. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like a house also that has things. But there's like people that live upstairs, and then downstairs there's a stage, and then they also have a stage in the backyard, and they have shows there a lot.
Where's that?
It is by it's kind of close to like Jack London Square, like that area. Like it's right by that like the freeway that's there. Like you can walk to the Venmo. You know Venmo? That's,
Yeah.
We don't know
I do.
any streets, but that's the area that it's in.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's awesome, and it's like that shit cannot happen in San Francisco anymore, and not right now. You know.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday.
There used to be
so much DIY stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
When I first moved here, there would be these parties in the Lower Haight, and so it's flat, and there'd be hundreds of people there, and just jam-packed in and loud, and like, you don't know who lives there, and they don't know anyone who's there, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And just, you heard, no cell phones. Like, you heard about a party, you just went.
Right.
So,
yeah. Totally.
The worst thing that could happen is like, you can't come in.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's awesome. Even when I was like in high school, there was a lot of DIY spaces and like spaces for like, underage bands and stuff to play, like Honey Hive and Submission.
Right.
These spots that like everybody went to, like all teenagers, and like now I'm like, there must be that. I mean, I know it's happening in Oakland. I'm like, there must be some of it in San Francisco too, because there's still kids here, but like, I probably just don't know that it's
Too old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just feels like all those spots that I knew have closed, and like I'm like, I hope new ones have opened, but like that's what I'm gonna find out when I interview the young people.
Yeah. There used to be house parties here with like, I used to see Primus at house parties all the time. They would be playing somebody's living room.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody was like, this band is so good because they weren't all like steampunk weird yet. They were just, but he could just have the bass and they just rock out, and like everybody dancing.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah.
And there were shows at the farm.
Oh,
Over by the skate.
Uh-huh.
There was no skateboard park there.
Right.
And then Survival Research Laboratories was there.
Okay.
And they would, I don't know if you know about those guys.
Oh.
You need to Google that shit.
Okay.
They would, there's videos out. They would put on these shows, these guys, they would build these giant robots that were dangerous. Like, they were built to destroy things. And they would, there'd be like maybe under an underpass under like the Bay Bridge, a weekend, or a parking lot somewhere, and just loud, weird noise, and these robot monsters just fucking destroying stuff, and like, cattle carcasses being torn apart, and just absolutely craziness.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you need to look up Survival Research Laboratories.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's they
crazy.
Still are going, as far as I know. I don't think they do stuff in the U.S. anymore. Like, they can get grants to go to Europe where they appreciate art.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the robots are more sophisticated now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, it's just these crazy giant things, and just bizarre and weird and scary.
Yeah.
The main guy, Mark Pauline, blew all his fingers off, like, making something, and it blew up, and,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool, that's good to know about.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should look up Survival Research Laboratories for sure.
Okay, cool.
They used to put out videos you could buy.
Okay.
We would all just sit around and watch these videos for like, shows that had happened before our time.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, like they're all probably around your dad's age.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
But yeah, some really crazy stuff. And their compound was next to the farm.
Okay, cool. Damn, crazy. So much stuff. There's like I feel like, every time it's just like, there's so many things. It's awesome. Okay. I think we got through most of my questions. Well, I guess, did you feel like it was hard to be here in your 20s and be doing music and art, or did it feel pretty like there was a lot of support for that? Like,
I thought it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, people came out. People
Yeah.
wanted to see what you did, and you wanted to see what they were doing.
Yeah.
And there was places for it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that was a big part. It was different here because there were places.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a show. There was set up. When I was in Denver, you had to figure it out because there wasn't any place. So you had to people had to create their own spaces, which, you know, does happen here because there's warehouses would pop up here and there.
Yeah.
You know, it was easier here because there were
Yeah.
like, oh, you can get a show at this club or that club, or
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, it was very. I didn't think it was hard at all. Unless,
Okay.
I mean, you know, if you wanted to make it,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But just to like be an artist and live and like
Yeah, no.
know other people and
Yeah, people were doing it. And I knew
Yeah.
people who were smarter than I was, who would like have their whatever job, and they would be socking money away, and then they'd get enough for a down payment on a $80,000 flat over on York Street.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very nice place, and now
Right.
they own a house, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they have long paid for. So.
Yeah. 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 Cool. Do you think like if you were in your 20s now and you came to San Francisco, you would still feel like you wanted to stay?
I don't know.
You
If I
don't
was
know.
in my 20s.
I didn't grow up here. Yeah.
I mean, I've lived here more than half my life.
Yeah.
I've worked at my job longer than half my life.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
April would be 35 years. since
Wow.
I've been there.
Damn. Yeah.
But if I was in my 20s,
Yeah.
I would go to Oakland.
Yeah.
You know, if I wanted to be an artist or whatever,
Mhm.
it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, and
Totally.
there's a built-in scene that's open and welcoming. So.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, ideally now I'd be like my nephew and go to Paris or somewhere, get out of the country.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Definitely.
when you're at the age where you can do it because you don't worry about failing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, Dawn and I've talked to moved. How could we move to another country and like maintain a certain standard of living? It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Totally.
can't go get shit jobs.
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah.
you know, we're past the adventure stage of living like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah. Do you feel like you would want to move if you could? Like if it was like, you know, you won the lottery or something? Feel like you would be
If
like,
we
"Yeah,
won
let's
the
get fuck
lottery,
out."
we would probably buy a house here,
Okay.
probably in the city,
Okay.
and then we would go travel and
Yeah.
live other places. But we
Yeah.
would come
Have a
back,
house
always
here.
come back.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. You know, I've talked like, oh, if we move back to the city, I want to live in North Beach, even though it'd be the most inconvenient place to live.
Yeah, but I love North Beach.
But I would be
so
like,
much.
if I'm moving back here, I want to be
Yeah.
my last days in it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Totally.
But it's like, well, we would really have to win the lottery because we'd want a garage and we would
Yeah.
need this. And we would
Yeah.
not, you know, we don't want, like we moved to Oakland mainly because, I mean, we pay more to live in Oakland than we did here.
Okay.
But we got more.
Yeah.
Like we were sick of apartment living and having neighbors
Mhm.
and banging on walls and just constantly upstairs, downstairs, all sides. you know,
Yeah.
in the hallway, just people around. Like, so now, you know, we found a house and that we can afford to rent, and it's
Yeah.
surrounded on two sides by a tofu factory.
Nice. Hell
So
yeah.
We only have one neighbor on the other side of our driveway.
Okay.
So that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So we can be
Cool.
loud and, like, you know, want to run the vacuum at 4 in the morning because
Yeah.
I'm awake.
Yeah.
It's like, not going to disturb anyone.
Totally. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm just really lucky for that with this place. Like, you can always have a party any day of the week.
Yeah.
Never matters.
They won't hear
like,
you.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's
Do you hear them?
Yeah, it's loud. And I think, like, eventually I'm going to get sick of that, you know, someday. But
you have
now
a good deal
I'm so
here.
used to it.
Yeah, and you have a good deal.
Yeah, no, it's the best. And the location is amazing. And I love this place.
I know Bo's getting ripped off on rent.
Yeah.
It's like, what, $50 a month or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, exactly. But he's like, I don't think he's even paid rent yet since he's been here. My dad keeps being like, oh, I need to get the rent vote. I'm like, you're just let him fund
You're
it for
never
free.
gonna-
You're never gonna force it to pay.
You just want Bo
He's such a
nearby
softie.
and
Yeah,
doing well
exactly.
and supporting Bo. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
I know. Yeah. Like, I'll pay my rent. It's fine.
I have a steady job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, I feel like it would be hard for me too to ever leave the Bay.
Yeah.
That's always been my plan. Like, if I can do it, if I can figure it out, I'll always stay here.
Well, you know, like Noah left and went to New York and then
yeah.
came back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends that have moved away have come back too. Because it's just like the best. In a lot of ways.
It
Even
really
though it's
is.
hard, it's tough, but it's good, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it is hard and sad sometimes.
The apocalyptic hellhole that is San Francisco.
Yeah. But we love it so much. Yeah.
How's your mom?
She's good. Yeah, she's better. She has got the cast off of her ankle. She's in a boot now, so she's like a little bit more mobile and can kind of like put more weight on it. Yeah, and I think she's in the boot for like 2 or 3 more weeks, and then they reevaluate. But she's doing really well. So
And she's gonna have a lot of PT.
yeah,
Which is the worst.
yeah,
It's so dull.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
But I
know.
can't, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like, doing this is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But she's pretty motivated
Good.
because she walks a lot. So it's
Yeah.
like she really wants to get everything back exactly how it was, you know. She's like not willing to, you know, take any less. So it's good.
Yeah.
Like, but it's been a crazy ordeal. That whole thing was so fucking nuts. It was like the weirdest thing ever.